So this video is going to kind of cover the simple syllabus of this class. So let me kind of open the simple syllabus up and we'll kind of see where this takes us. So again, this is Math 126 Technical Algebra. Yours also has a Math 126 SES, which has a lab that goes along with it. So you're taking actually two classes with this. Basically, we're just going to have this one syllabus, though, that goes for both classes. So there will not be another syllabus for the other part of this class. It'll all be right here. So you don't have to go look for two syllabi. So again, my name is Brian Thomas. My location is in the Science Building, room 120. I do have a phone number, 270-686-3785. Your best way of contacting me is probably through email, not through phone. So use my email address, brian.thomas@kcts.edu. It's not a bad idea just to send me an email to say hello. That's an easiest way to get a hold of me. These are my hours. Mostly I am free for tutoring if you need any help. This kind of looks busy, but there's actually a lot of opportunities where I can assist you with this online class on site if you need to. So I do have a class on Monday and Wednesdays from 8 to 9:15, but after that, 9:30 to 11, 11 to 12, I can assist on these days. That's just where I will be located at. So you can kind of catch up with me there. Afternoons, I do have on Monday, Wednesday, I have a statistics class from 2 to 3:15. But after 3:15, again, I have office hours here on campus on Mondays and Wednesdays from 3:15 to 4:30. Tuesdays and Thursdays is very similar. I have a pretty wide open schedule, mostly in the afternoon, 1:30 to 4:30, available for tutoring if you need it or any kind of assistance. Fridays, again, my schedule is pretty wide open for that as well. So even though this is an online class, you can meet with me rather easily. Again, as far as the course catalog goes, your advisors probably talked to you about this class and how it can be applied to your specific major. Remember, if you're applying for an Associates of Arts or an Associates of Science, keep that in mind, how the Math 126 applies to all that. So that all applies to your major. So be sure you get more comfortable with your advisor on how this class fits your schedule. As far as material goes, we're not going to actually use a real textbook. We're going to just use the e-textbook that's available on this Blackboard shell. You will really need a TI-84 calculator. That's what I'm going to be modeling. So to make yourself have some stress-free with math, having this TI-84 calculator, it'll be a lot easier because I will model a lot using the TI-84 calculator if you're not great with the calculators. Again, you do have to use the computer, as you can see. Emailing is very important, so keep that in mind. You may have to open up attachments, or you may have to even send attachments in this class, depending on how we go. So keep that all in mind as you move forward into this this class. The course competencies are listed here. Again, Math 126 is kind of like taking an Algebra 1 and an Algebra 2 class in high school, but it does focus more on the applied math. So towards the end of the class, there is some interesting math reflecting regarding what we call trigonometry and logarithmic math, which is kind of interesting at the very end of the class. You may not have seen that as much. So this also kind of lists what our units look like. So the first unit, we have these topics being covered. Unit 2 has these topics, Unit 3, Unit 4. So basically the class is broken up into 4 units. As far as grading goes, a 90 to 100 is an A. 80 to an 89.9% is a B, but I do round, so technically 89.5%, I will round that on up to a 90%, and that would be an A. So this isn't perfect because I do actually round a little bit there. So keep that in mind. If you understand rounding, which is a big part of Math 126, 5 and more, it does round up. So keep that in mind. As far as homework goes, you'll have several assignments given to you each week, usually between 3 and 4 assignments to keep up with each week. So it's a very fast moving class. Remember, you can always get 100% on the homework by completing the assignment on time and doing a similar problem until you get the problem correct. So if you miss a question in your homework, you are able to do it over again until you get it correct. So you can always get 100% on your homework. The attendance policy, since this is an online class, there isn't one. Again, late assignments and makeup pieces. There are due dates for your assignments. The class is opens up. Everything is open to you once you start the class, but pay attention to the due dates, because if you miss a due date, then there will be a late penalty. So on homework, there's a 10% penalty, and on test, it'll be a 15% penalty. Now, keep that in mind. Even though there's penalties, you are still able to make the work even if it's late. It'll just be penalized a little bit. So remember, if it's a 10% penalty, you can still make a maximum score of a 90%, or maybe even a little bit more depending on how late the assignment is. Same with your tests. You can have a late test, and you can do the test later, but there is going to be a 15% penalty. But remember that you can still make an 85% on that. So keep that in mind, that even if it's late, you can still do well in this class. Keep in mind, to fail this class, you have to score below a 60%. That's going to be what's called failing, or an E. A 60 to a 69% is a passing, but keep that in mind, that's a D. And sometimes, depending on what your career path is, they may not accept D's in your academic plan. You may have to have C's or higher. So be sure, if you are trying to just get by in this class, that you know how low you can actually go. So, because sometimes a D is not transferable. So make sure you talk to your advisors if you're just trying to get by in this class. Okay. Hopefully you're not trying to get by, you're trying to do the best you can. That's my philosophy, is always put your best foot forward. There is withdrawal policy, so pay attention to withdrawal dates, stuff like that. Again, if you're having troubles with this online class, it's better to talk to your advisor early to decide whether or not you should withdraw from this class or not. Again, this class is online, so it's about as flexible as you can get. So as far as some dates go, January 15th is the last day to drop the course without a grade. So keep that in mind. If you start this course and don't feel like it's not worth your while, drop it by January 15th, and you don't have to worry about a whole lot of issues. But keep in mind, that's like the first week of class. On March the 6th, that's the last day you can withdraw without approval. So after March 6th, you'll probably have to ask for my permission as well to withdraw from a class. There are a lot of support services, so keep that in mind. There's some links here on this document that you can click on that will take you to support services, academic support and tutoring. On site, the library, which is the LRE building, has what's called the TLC Center. They do a lot of tutoring. Even if you're online, they can do things for you. So they prefer you to do face-to-face, but they can still do tutoring virtually as well. So we have Experiential Learning Center as well. So keep that in mind. Look at that there. They have a lot of free services that can help you figure out a career plan. So pay attention to, as you go into your courses, there's a lot of things outside your classes that are very, very useful in trying to figure out what you want to do when you grow up. As far as academic integrity goes, you are on the honor system. You are expected to be doing your own work, but clicking and taking this course, it's like a handshake. You are expected to be doing your work, not let somebody else do your work. So the way this class works, you are allowed to use what's called our class notes. You can get those from the bookstore. You can make these notes watching our videos, and you can use these notes on all exams, including the final. So keep that in mind. Notes and your calculator are allowed, but nothing else is allowed. No other external resources. If you have a disability, make sure you check with the school to see how we can better serve you as well. So we do have discrimination policies. So these are things to read. SNAP, since it is the wintertime, the SNAP program will send out alerts to tell you about inclement weather and things like that. Or if we have some type of issues on campus, these SNAP alerts will tell you what to be aware of. Also on this is a self-pacing calendar. So your syllabus does tell you what week 1 looks like. So notice how we are fast moving. Week 1, there's a bunch of material to do. Week 1's probably the hardest as far as the amount of material goes. But if you start off working really, really hard, if you maintain that work ethic, you can get through this class rather easily. The last day for class is May 4th. But remember, this is an online class, so you can finish earlier if you desire, but you cannot finish later. So you can move faster. But if you stay with it, with this self-pacing calendar, if you stay with this from week to week to week, it'll keep you on pace to pass the class without being overwhelmed by the amount of work. Notice around March 5th is when we get into spring break. So March 6th through the 12th is spring break. So keep that in mind. That's why there's this big break between week 8 and week 9 is because of fall break. So that's a little bit about our syllabus. Okay. So again, my name is Brian Thomas. If I can get back up here to the top. Well, this is a big syllabus, like I said. So take your time looking at the syllabus. It can be very beneficial to you. So again, Brian Thomas, and again, my office location is the Science Building 120. And again, email is the best way to reach me, brian.thomas@kcts.edu. So I'll stop this video at this time.